and had a reprimand because when they went out on tour for publicity, she starts in with all of her political nonsense. And that wasn't helping Disney.
I never would have imagined that I would get to be Snow White. So truly just for people to see someone who looks like them, someone who represents a dreamer, no matter what they look like or where they come from.
What if we told you that Disney's latest live-action remake, Snow White, has become one of the most talked-about Hollywood disasters in recent memory? A movie that was supposed to be a magical reimagining of a beloved classic has instead spiraled into a whirlwind of controversy, backlash, and drama. And at the center of it all stands Rachel Zegler, a young actress who's gone from being Disney's golden child to the face of one of their biggest public relations nightmares. But how did it all fall apart? Buckle up, because this story is juicier than a poisoned apple.
Crying on that stage.
When am I not crying in public? It's so upsetting.
Why were you crying?
Oh my gosh, I saw well, we didn't even see, but I saw the logo and I went, that's my name, Snow White's up there, and I cried my eyes out.
When Disney announced its live-action remake of Snow White, expectations were sky high. After all, past remakes like Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King raked in billions globally. Casting Rachel Zegler, fresh off her breakout performance in West Side Story, seemed like a no-brainer. But what started as a promising career move quickly turned into a nightmare for both Zegler and Disney. The first red flag, the moment fans heard that the iconic 7 dwarves were being replaced with CGI characters and magical creatures. Rumors began circulating that this creative decision wasn't just about modernizing the story, it was allegedly a calculated move spearheaded by Zegler herself.
Everything. I feel so lucky that I got to play something that is so far from what I know and what I'm used to. And I super enjoyed every second of it.
According to whispers from industry insiders, Zegler didn't just play Snow White. She apparently played a major role behind the scenes as well. Reports claim she pushed Disney to ditch real dwarf actors, arguing that their inclusion could be seen as outdated or offensive. But here's where it gets even messier. Zegler was rumored to have recruited none other than Peter Dinklage, the Game of Thrones star and a prominent actor with dwarfism, to publicly condemn the use of dwarf characters. Dinklage's now infamous interview, in which he called the roles backward and stereotypical, sent shockwaves through Disney's executive offices. Insiders speculate that Zegler orchestrated the timing of his remarks, knowing it would pressure Disney to make changes.
Because Rachel Zegler hurt the film's box office with her actions in since-deleted comment. This is the exchange.
The fallout was immediate. Disney announced it would replace the 7 dwarves with a mix of CGI and magical creatures, a decision that enraged fans and little people actors alike. Critics accused Disney of erasing representation for performers with dwarfism, while others slammed Zegler for hiding behind so-called progressive messaging to secure more screen time for herself. One viral post summed up the outrage perfectly. She didn't fight for inclusion, she erased it. The backlash was fierce, with many fans pointing out that Dinklage himself had built a highly successful career playing roles tied to his stature, yet was now advocating to eliminate those opportunities for others. But the drama didn't stop there. Behind the scenes, Zegler was reportedly renegotiating her contract to reflect her expanded role in the film. By removing the traditional dwarf characters, the narrative was reshaped to put Snow White front and center, giving Zegler more solo scenes and an even bigger paycheck. While this was undoubtedly a win for her wallet, it only fueled speculation that the entire controversy was a calculated power play. One insider described it as one of the most aggressive behind-the-scenes moves in Disney history, claiming Zegler leveraged the public outcry to solidify herself as the film's absolute focal point.
Literally no clue. To conclude that, and I love Platt's first saying, "You really want to do this?"
Yeah.
I love his first saying,
right.
"You really want to
That's
do
right.
this?"
Yeah.
I love that.
But what made this alleged power play even more controversial was the timing. According to insiders, Zegler reportedly pushed for these changes before the film's official announcement, positioning herself as a creative collaborator rather than just the lead actress. This led some to speculate that she was trying to establish herself as an industry heavyweight early in her career. While it's not unusual for actors to have input on their roles, the scope of the changes allegedly influenced by Zegler, especially the removal of real dwarf actors, was seen by many as overstepping. Critics argued that her involvement blurred the lines between actor and producer, raising questions about whether she was equipped to handle such responsibility.
Words talk, numbers scream. People are screaming. Disney, get it together. Who is the Disney's customer? You talk about this all the time, Pat.
Adding to the tension was the reaction among dwarf actors, many of whom felt betrayed by the move to replace them with CGI and magical creatures. Several performers publicly voiced their disappointment, with some calling it a missed opportunity for representation in a major Disney production. One actor reportedly stated, "We fought so hard for visibility in Hollywood, and this decision takes us 10 steps back." The backlash wasn't limited to the entertainment industry either. Advocacy groups joined the chorus of criticism, accusing Disney of masking exclusion under the guise of modernization. This narrative only amplified the fan outrage as audiences began to view the film as a symbol of corporate detachment from real-world issues.
And you have parents looking at Disney being like, what are you doing, guys? Like, this is supposed to be place
Meanwhile, Zegler's team reportedly attempted to manage the fallout by emphasizing her commitment to inclusivity and progressive storytelling. Sources close to the actress claimed that her intentions were misinterpreted and that she had advocated for a fresh take on Snow White to inspire modern audiences. However, this explanation did little to calm the storm. Fans argued that genuine inclusivity would have involved creating additional roles for underrepresented groups rather than erasing existing ones. The controversy spiraled even further when some began questioning whether Zegler's actions were motivated by genuine beliefs or personal ambition, a debate that continues to rage online. As if that wasn't enough to stir the pot, Zegler's public comments about the original Snow White film added even more fuel to the fire. In one interview, she called the classic 1937 animated movie creepy, criticizing its portrayal of the prince as a stalker. She also dismissed the original love story as outdated, declaring that the new Snow White would be a feminist tale about leadership and independence. She is not dreaming about true love, Zegler said. She's dreaming about becoming a leader. While some applauded her for bringing a modern perspective to the role, others felt she was mocking a beloved piece of Disney history. Fans who grew up with the original Snow White felt personally attacked, accusing Zegler of disrespecting the legacy of the character.
Variety breaks down how after this tweet went viral, the studio was shocked that she would mix a promo tweet with a political statement. As a result, Mark Platt flew to New York to speak with her.
And then came the social media firestorm. Old tweets from Zegler resurfaced, including one in which she wrote, "May Trump supporters never know peace." Another tweet simply read, "Free Palestine," posted shortly after the release of the first Snow White trailer. These posts, while reflective of her personal beliefs, became ammunition for critics who accused her of being divisive and unprofessional. Some Disney loyalists even began calling for a boycott of the film, using hashtags like "Not My Snow White" and "Boycott Disney." The backlash was so intense that Disney reportedly hired a social media specialist to vet all of Zegler's posts leading up to the film's release, but the damage was already done.
It received backlash for various reasons in the lead up to its release. Zegler had called the original Snow White movie dated and weird and said Prince Charming was a stalker.
The bad press reached a boiling point when Snow White finally hit theaters and bombed spectacularly. The film opened to just over $40 million domestically, far below expectations for a movie with a production budget exceeding $250 million. Even with international box office numbers factored in, the opening weekend barely scraped $90 million. A disastrous start for a film that needed to make at least $500 million globally to break even. Disney executives were reportedly furious, with one insider claiming an executive slammed their fist on a table during a post-release meeting, shouting, "She torched a billion-dollar brand in under a year, and we paid her to do it?" But perhaps the most shocking twist? Rumors began circulating that Disney was exploring ways to hold Zegler financially accountable for the film's failure. The studio's legal team was reportedly combing through her contract, looking for any clauses related to morality or public relations that could justify recouping some of her paycheck. While it's unclear whether these efforts will lead to any concrete action, the very idea of holding an actress personally responsible for a film's failure is almost unheard of in Hollywood. As for Zegler, the fallout has been equally brutal. Some producers have reportedly labeled her radioactive, fearing that her involvement could bring controversy to future projects. Within Disney, her name has allegedly become a taboo subject in meetings, with one source claiming the studio has quietly scrapped any plans for future collaborations with her. Online, fans are divided. While some defend Zegler as a scapegoat for the film's broader failures, others argue that her outspoken personality and controversial comments made her an easy target.
Feelings about Israel and Gaza, I don't care at all. I care a little bit more about Rachel Zegler having like an underlying amount of contempt for the intellectual property.
Even the production of Snow White was plagued with issues from the start. The film faced multiple delays due to Hollywood strikes and even a fire that temporarily shut down production. Creative differences between executives and producers led to costly reshoots, and early test screenings reportedly received lukewarm feedback. By the time the film was ready for release, it felt less like a polished blockbuster and more like a patchwork project held together by duct tape and wishful thinking. So where does this leave Rachel Zegler and Disney? For Zegler, the road ahead looks challenging. While she's undeniably talented, her involvement in Snow White has left a stain on her rising career. It's possible she could pivot to smaller indie projects to rebuild her reputation, but the shadow of this controversy will likely follow her for years to come. As for Disney, the studio is facing a reckoning. Snow White has become a cautionary tale about the risks of prioritizing messaging over storytelling and underestimating the power of fan nostalgia. Moving forward, Disney may need to rethink its approach to remakes, focusing on honoring the originals rather than rewriting them to fit modern sensibilities. What do you think? Was Rachel Zegler unfairly targeted, or did she bring this on herself? And will Disney learn from this debacle, or are more live-action flops on the horizon? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into Hollywood's biggest scandals. Until next time, stay tuned.